Hey folks, what's up? Let's talk about Alien Covenant. It's the newest film in the Alien franchise all of you are probably very well familiar with. Basically what happens, another crew of a spaceship lands on an uncharted planet before making a horrifying discovery and terror ensues. In typical Ridley Scott fashion, visually the film is quite stunning, it's beautiful in fact, but also very much in typical Ridley Scott fashion, the film is only as good as its script, which in the case of Covenant isn't really all that good. It's a little bit too all over the place. It definitely gives the impression that Ridley Scott is making up this whole prequel series as he is going along, trying to have it both ways, trying to please fans as well as please himself, trying to continue and expand upon the lore set up in the previous film Prometheus, as well as bringing back the xenomorph action we all know and love from the original movies. The acting is compelling for the most part. I definitely like the two main characters, played by Danny McBride and Catherine Waterston, who definitely managed to take the very limited material they are given and to sort of flesh it out and to create as fully realized characters as possible in such a restricted and confined film, even though Catherine Waterston is no Ripley, but then again, who is? Nobody is. Ripley is one of the coolest characters in cinema ever. Michael Fassbender is also great in the film, but not in the way I was expecting actually. I think his performance is actually quite strange and weird. It's definitely very corny and very over the top, but also quite chilling. I definitely think he is channeling his inner Hannibal Lecter here, and he effortlessly plays both droids, both Walter and David, and the interaction between these two characters I thought was definitely the highlight of the film without a doubt. But just as in Prometheus, all of the other characters are completely useless, they are completely just cannon fodder, they are only there to die, and on top of that they are complete morons as well, which really creates this kind of discrepancy. I mean, you're sending these people to colonize another planet, and these are the smartest people you can get. It's complete bullshit. I feel like the talents of such a great actor as Billy Crudup are completely wasted, and it's really strange because, why the hell are they trusting David? Why the hell are they trusting this obviously unhinged android? Why the hell are they not cornering him into answering some very essential questions, like what happened to all of the engineers? Why are they all dead and mummified? How come you can control these monsters, these creatures, these protomorphs as I like to call them? What happened to the Prometheus ship? Nobody bats an eye until it's way too late, and it's complete bullshit. The horror elements in the film I thought did work. I definitely thought the way some of the characters died was genuinely gruesome and disturbing. I like the way how one character gets murdered by a backburster, as I like to call it. I liked how another character gets slashed into pieces. I liked how another character gets burned alive and the way we see her silhouette in the background burning. I liked how another character gets decapitated. So all of that was very effective in my opinion. I also liked the xenomorph, even though allegedly it's not really the xenomorph, it's not the fully formed version of it as we see in the later films in the chronological timeline. But come on, it's the fucking xenomorph. It looks exactly the same. Even though it's CGI, I didn't mind it. I thought the CGI looked good. I definitely thought that it was a good thing that they didn't show the xenomorph all that much in the film. But however, the last 15 minutes of the film are completely ineffective, completely unnecessary and pointless. And it's only just a rehash of the last acts of the first two films. And the end twist was so incredibly predictable that I actually felt it was an insult to my attention span and an insult to my intelligence. And the whole thing just felt like another episode in a series rather than a film. And I really don't like TV series all that much, so that really left a bad taste in my mouth. And it's looking like this whole prequel series of the Alien franchise is going to be just that. It's going to be tune in again in 2 years for the new adventures of another crew of space travelers we don't know anything about and we don't care about, and the murderous psychotic android with a god complex, David. Yay! So yeah, I guess David is essentially the main character of this series, which feels incredibly odd. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think David is an interesting character, just as Hannibal Lecter is an interesting character, but in Silence of the Lambs we also needed Clarice, we also needed Jodie Foster's character to balance the story out and to have a character there we can care for and root for. And that's really strange because I think Ridley Scott is definitely trying to connect these movies, connect these prequels to his original Alien from 1979 and to have them all make sense and to move further and explore the lore while also going back to the roots. And that's okay, but I feel that he's also trying to do something much more sinister, and that is to move us as further away as possible from James Cameron's Alien and from David Fincher's Alien 3, and to move us away from what those films were about, which were, let's be honest, they weren't about much because they were essentially monster movies, but they were never about the monsters, in fact. They were actually about Ripley, they were actually about that character, and they were actually about us wanting to root for her and wanting to see her survive and wanting to see her get back to living a normal life. That's it. Now, who the hell am I supposed to care in these movies? I mean, did I care about about Noomi Rapace's character in Prometheus? Well, yeah, I kind of did. Well, too bad, she's dead. Should I care about Catherine Waterston and Danny McBride's characters in Covenant? Well, too bad, they're probably going to die in the next one. Fuck. Now, moving along a little bit, like, the original Alien from 1979 was, without a doubt, a film about rape, essentially. I mean, everything in H.R. Geiger's design for the film, everything from the ship the Nostromo discovers to the xenomorph itself, was very much an amalgamation of sexual organs, basically, of penises, vaginas, anuses, and all kinds of different tubes. It was very biomechanical. It was almost like the mechanical has become inseparable from the biological, and the idea for the xenomorph was basically to be this terrifying penis monster, to be this rape monster, this almost indestructible, perfect organism you can't defend yourself from, that has a mouth coming out of its mouth, which is almost like a penis with teeth. It has a penis-shaped head without any eyes, making it even more like ominous. It has a very long and pointy and sharp tail it can kill you with, and it is given birth through rape, literally through rape. The facehugger rapes its victim, and that's how the alien is born. And the facehugger obviously looks like a vagina, of course. So everything is incredibly biomechanical, incredibly sexual and then ominous, and of course human beings in these films fear these creatures, but the androids, such as David and Ian Holm's original android character in the original Alien, whose name I can't remember anymore, they admire these creatures and they want to help them and preserve them, and I think that's basically Ridley Scott's vision of the Alien franchise and of this universe, basically being, in a broader sense, a universe in which mankind has become inadequate and obsolete. It has become something destined for destruction, destined to fade into oblivion, and it's time to end, basically. In Prometheus, we find out that the engineers created mankind, but during the end of the 21st century, the crew of the Prometheus, by going to the planet they go to, eventually find out that the engineers wanted to destroy mankind. And there was an opinion on YouTube that said that the engineers that we see in Prometheus might have been this sort of renegade, militarized faction of engineers that did wanted to destroy mankind, but the engineers that we see in Covenant, however, are separate, more peaceful, less advanced, and more spiritual faction of engineers that have absolutely nothing to do with the others, evidenced possibly by the very old school architecture of their city. And that might or might not be the case. I definitely hope it's something we will find out in future movies, but it's not really something I believe, because in the flashback scene, when we see the ship coming back with David on it, the engineers are cheering, which really give me the sense that they were expecting that ship to come back, and they were expecting it to be triumphant, and their mission to be triumphant. Obviously David proves them wrong and says, "Oh no, bitches," and bumps the shit out of them. And my interpretation of all of this is that by the end of the 21st century, the engineers have realized that mankind not only invented like nuclear weapons, and basically we became destroyers of worlds, we've also invented space travel and artificial intelligence. So the engineers figured that, hey, our creation has become a threat to us, they might be dangerous, they're about to run amok in the universe, and let's destroy them before they get a chance to destroy us, potentially. Which brings me back to what I said earlier about the most interesting part of the film for me, being the interaction between the two androids and their conversations. The quoting of the Ozymandias sonnet written by Percy Shelley is definitely not without its resonance. The last part of it reads, "My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away." Looks familiar, doesn't it? So David basically believes himself to be the king of kings. He somewhat regretfully believes that he has to destroy both the engineers as well as humans in order to be able to give birth to this perfect organism. Just as on a much more smaller scale, the facehugger has to destroy a weaker and more inferior organism in order to give birth to the superior one. So basically, like, the xenomorph is as much a product of rape as it is a product of genocide, which in itself is a sort of rape on a much more broader scale. So what I'm getting at, there's no really like two ways around it, without a shadow of a doubt, is that David is essentially Space Hitler. So Space Hitler is the new main character of the prequel Alien series. Wow. So Alien Covenant, I mean, yeah, what can I say about this film? I think it's okay-ish, it's definitely average, it's definitely the third best Alien film, objectively speaking, after Alien and Aliens, just by default, basically, just by how great, how well made it is, in fact. I definitely have a soft spot for the assembly cut of Alien 3, even though that's not a very great movie. movie. It definitely has very like good character moments in it, in my opinion, which something like Covenant lacks completely. So like recommended, not recommended, I think it all comes down to how big of a fan you are. If you're a completionist, yeah, watch it, but it definitely feels like they're making this shit up as they are going along, which is probably the case. So I guess we'll just have to wait another couple of years, just like we did after Prometheus, to get some more answers. And Alien Awakening, which allegedly is going to be a prequel to Covenant, which I found to be an incredibly like odd and convoluted and ridiculous idea, but whatever. So my question to you guys would be an incredibly simple one. Which one do you like more? The original Alien or James Cameron's sequel Aliens? Simple enough. And do you have any guilty pleasure Alien films from the franchise? You know, like I have Alien 3, you might have another film that's a guilty pleasure of yours. Don't forget to leave those answers down below in the comment section, and thanks for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you later with other reviews. And until then, folks, as always, don't forget, stay cool, stay awesome, and goodbye.